Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about Survivor 20 Heroes versus Villains. The heroes are finally doing something, Sarah.
Whoa. They are. Well, first we see them coming back to camp from their tribal, and they're doing the typical, you got to put on a happy face.
Yes, right. Tom is telling
Tom
James,
like, they're not happy.
They're not happy, and you know, they're not happy with James because of the way he handled himself truly, like, over the past however many days that was, like, from the challenge to the tribal to everything. Like, they're not super impressed with his behavior. And Tom is saying very gently, we need to be gentler, James. Like, you didn't need to come so hard at Stephanie.
There are other ways to say things.
Right. And Tom is also feeling a little burned by JT because they had a conversation earlier in the game about, you know, both being winners and, you know, maybe we can work together and, you know, help each other out. And JT
voted a different way.
Yes, right. So Tom is kind of like, I've been betrayed, but I kind of have to stick with JT because, like, maybe he can buy me some extra time. He's kind of my only option right now.
Right. So. And they know they need to make amends and, like, pretend that everything's okay. So JT's like, just like this one time I had to do this vote. Like, it's, you know, I'm still with you. So they're doing their gamesmanship. Like, they're working those angles. Tom and Colby ultimately come together and are like, well, we just got to be smarter.
Well, and Colby fully is like, I don't know if this game is for me, man. Like, like, really not doing great at the fire. But, you know, I think Tom is, like, encouraging him, like, stick with it. Like, it was a rough couple of days, but, like, you know, we got this. We can handle this.
Gotta try. Flip over to villains.
We see a lot of giggling in the shelter. You know, Parvati and Russell are just having the best time.
Well, literally, people are trying to sleep. I'm like, that's not when you giggle loudly when other people are trying to sleep.
Right. So they just seem to, like, generally be annoying everyone on the villains tribe. But this was so interesting with Rob because, like, Rob, as we know, is a master of this game. And I loved this insight of, like, look at the sleeping arrangements. If you want to know who's with who, just look at who they're sleeping next to, because you're not going to go to sleep next to the person that you're planning to vote out.
Good.
So smart.
Point. Absolutely. This is why Rob has a book. This is why you read his book if you want to be on the show. And he says, like, I know from experience. Who did he cuddle with? The woman he's now married to. So yes. The two of them were in final two. Like, hello. They are. And we also see Coach and Jerry cuddling.
Right. Yeah. It's like people are coupled up a little bit on that villains tribe, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Back over to heroes. Because they need a bonding experience, David.
Rupert is like, I wish it would rain so that we were stuck in the shelter together and we would have to, like, bond as a tribe.
Yes, we'd have to connect, play a game or something. But they come up with something else instead.
Well, they see some chickens. And what do you do on Survivor? If you see a chicken, you hunt it.
Yes, they had to capture. Well, they made a coop like thing, which thank goodness, because they literally were just, like, trapping the chickens so they couldn't move with a net. So they built a little pen, but apparently it wasn't built well enough. The chickens get out. So they have to, like, run, get them, surround them, do all this. And they just love it. Such a great bonding experience.
Yeah, right. That's just what they needed, I guess, to really come together as a tribe and do something right finally. Now, flipping back over to the villains tribe. It's more with this, like, Russell Parvati storyline, but we see Coach talking to Russell about, you didn't come here to flirt. You didn't come here to find a girlfriend. Like, we're playing a game here for $1 million, and Parvati is the most dangerous player in this game. So, like, you need to watch out for her.
Eye on the prize. She's super dangerous. We know this. We already know Parvati's game. Like, hello. He's doing it again. Like, don't fall for it. Rob even walks up and they let him in on it. And I love that Rob was like, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt one time, as if he is the Rob father, which obviously he is.
He is, but that sends Russell, like, into a tailspin, and he's like, he thinks he's in charge of this game. Like, no, I'm Russell. Like, I have not seen a ton of seasons with Russell. Like, I don't know how many times he's played, but, like, this is who he is all season long so far. Like, he has it in his head that he is the king of Survivor. And so when someone like Rob comes up and tries to like throw his weight around, no siree. So then Russell goes and tells Parvati, coach is coming for you. You know, he's like cluing her into this. And she's like, story of my life. Like, this is what always happens. And
yeah. Now, okay, so I don't know why Russell thinks he's the king of Survivor or the daddy of this tribe, whatever phrase he wants to say. I'm not sure where in his core he feels like he's just got, you know, this ego about him.
Yeah.
But what we do know, David, and I think you know this, you probably just forgot, but at the end of this season, because this rivalry is so real between Rob and Russell, that's why Survivor brings the season where Rob finally wins, because Rob is on one tribe and Russell is on the other. It's because of this rivalry that season even comes about.
Right. I did know this.
You know this. You're just forgetting. And so, yes, it's because of all of this that we get that next season, and then Rob finally wins.
And then Rob wins. Okay.
So Russell's
love it.
Hurt about that.
Yeah, right. So, you know, Russell is telling Parvati that she's like being targeted, and she's like, I'm used to it, but like, thanks for telling me. She's kind of saying like, Russell's crazy, but like, he's kind of the only person I can trust right now. So I'm kind of forced to work with him. So like, I got to do what I can here.
Yeah.
And then Russell wants to like cause chaos around camp, right? Just to show that he's the boss. So he buries the machete and he's talking about, I'm going to hide that Boston Red Sox cap because, you know, I don't even like the Boston Red Sox. So he's just trying to mess with Rob and mess with camp generally.
We literally are seeing the heroes being like, we need bonding exercises.
Right.
And then the villains are like, how can we make each other go crazy?
Yes, right. And then guess what? Everybody knows how to drive Randy crazy because he finds a giant clam and offers it to people and nobody wants it. And that is like, what are we even doing here? You know, he's like, what back in my day when I played Survivor, you caught something from the ocean. Everybody's like swarming around it to get a bite. And these people don't want what I've caught for them. And, you know, he's just sick of people who have everything handed to them. And, you know, he's also kind of like targeting Parvati as this like queen of schmooze. And he's right. Like, that she is the queen of that form of gameplay.
Yes.
But he is just like, not having it with these ladies who get everything handed to them, you know?
Yeah, literally he and Sandra are the only two who will eat this clam.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to eat it.
Right.
And Parvati's even like spitting it out. She tried it. She was like, no, thank you.
I can't eat that. Ugh,
so we end this little segment with Randy and Coach both being like, the people who just want everything done for them, like we just can't do it. They're mostly talking about Parvati at this point.
Yeah, right. Then we go back over to Heroes, right? And this is where JT is trying to cook up a little drama on the Heroes side. So he is talking to Candace, right? And they're kind of like discussing the game. And is this when he thinks like, oh, Candace is smarter than I thought?
Yes, she's talking strategy with him. And I guess he thought she didn't have a brain. He's like, oh boy, she's too strategical. I got to keep my eye on her. So he actually goes to Suri and just totally lies and says, Candace says she can't trust you.
Yeah. Which is interesting because then Suri goes straight to Candace. And she's like, so I heard, she doesn't say JT told me. She's like, I heard that you said you can't trust me. And Candace is like, that is not true. Like immediately denies it. And then kind of like goes on the hunt around camp. Asking people individually, like, did you say this to Suri? Because like, I did not say this. And she just is trying to like kind of root out who's working against her.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I understand why Suri's not going to say JT's name. Like it's pretty common to be like, I'm not going to say his name, but had she said JT, that would have allowed Candace to be like, oh, this is so interesting because I literally was just saying this to JT, not that. And then they really could have figured out what he was doing.
Yeah.
But because it's anonymous, she's like out and about talking to people who are like, oh, I've never heard, not me, I've never heard that or whatever. But interestingly enough, she lands on James, who just can't even fathom why you would even talk about strategy and who's with who and trusting who, because that doesn't even matter, David. He just needs to win a challenge.
Sarah, this man is going to make me lose my mind by the time he is voted off this season, because the way he's playing Survivor is so crazy. It is like, what? You don't care about what other people are saying about you at camp? Like, have you played this game before? I know you have, because this is an all-star season, but you are not acting like an all-star. Like, whoa.
Right.
But he's just like very singularly focused right now. I think he's like, enough with us being divided as a tribe. Like, we have to come together and actually be united in order to like win an immunity. You know, I think maybe he's just like, shut up. Like, don't let any of that divide us. We have to work together in this moment, which I can kind of understand. But
guess what? We get to go play immunity, James, just for you.
Wow.
And this is another challenge that I'm just like, why? Why do they have to one-on-one beat each other up?
I cannot with this version of Survivor. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not built for this form of Survivor. I will give me a balance beam with some dominoes to knock over in Survivor 40. Great. I could do that. But
stand on the tiniest little peg for 10 hours, whatever.
Sure. Yes. But taking pads and smashing them into another person's face and having them smashed into mine and trying to like push, it's so physical, these challenges. It's like they are literally beating each other up. But this is a very one-sided beatdown, because it is hero after hero after hero making villain after villain after villain their bitch. Like, it is crazy how quickly some of these go. Like, I will say Rupert and Coach was like a real fight, right? Like, that was back and forth. Coach kind of cheated a little bit. They had to do a redo, and Rupert ended up winning in the redo. What other ones were close? Amanda and Danielle were pretty close, like back and forth. Colby and Rob was pretty intense. But some of them, the hero just like came at them and pounded them, and they were on their ass in the dirt, like in the mud. It was crazy.
No, it was raining. Like, it was hard to get any grip, but like it didn't matter. The heroes were just like, here, you want me to come at you? And I did.
And you're right, because right, just flailing. Because you're right, they did have to like trudge through the mud to get onto the platform in the first place. So with the rain on top of that, you can see their feet slipping out from under them constantly. But it was just wild to see a tribe that has been so dysfunctional as a team succeed so well in sort of an individual challenge. Like, it was 8 individual challenges, and the heroes won every single one, 8-0. It was a complete blowout. Like, very embarrassing for the villains this time.
Yeah, I think that is the key. If it's one-on-one, if it's an individual thing, heroes are going to kill it. They're great individually. And if the villains can work together, they will. They'll lean on each other, and collectively they can achieve. But individually, they are very sort of disconnected, and that's how the villains are working this entire time. They also got some reward with this, and we don't see this often anymore. We don't see this, but they had what he called luxury items, where they got to pick something that reminded them of home. There were like pictures of children and stuff like that the winning tribe got. So that's definitely a motivation that you want to win this, but also you don't want to lose 8-0.
Well, and we have to talk about the final matchup, because the last one is James versus Randy, which is just comical to look at, just standing there on the platform, because James is crouched over and like his back muscles are forming like mountains along his spinal cord in the back. Like, his muscles are all over the place. And Randy's like an older guy, you know, like, it is the most lopsided matchup of the whole thing, and it's for the win. And this is one where James just levels him and like sends him flying into the mud.
Yeah, and Randy tried. Randy was like, "You're gonna beat up an old man." Like he tried to be like, "Hello," but James was like, "Yes, I will."
Yeah.
So get off this platform. I think that was the best choice they could make strategically, because if you're lining up who's gonna go against who, do you waste a Rob or like whoever you think might be your best chance to go up against James?
No, because nobody's going to beat him. Yeah. So you just, you're like, sorry, Randy, like you got to bite
your
the
best
bullet
choice is to put the old man up in hopes that James goes easy on him, or that maybe you just don't need that one. You won enough already, and this one doesn't matter.
Well,
and ultimately this one doesn't matter because they had already clearly won.
Oh yeah, for sure. But James like kind of played dirty. He like knocked Randy. Yeah. It was a very easy fight. Randy was just knocked straight into the mud. James throws his pad at Randy in the mud, which was like not cool. And this is just like the behavior that we've seen all season from James. And someone from the villains tribe is like, yeah, I told you you're on the wrong tribe, James. Like you are very much acting like a villain so far.
Yeah, you're not a hero, buddy. You should be over here. That's a mistake. I mean, I think that's what these challenges do, though. Like innately, if you're like, okay, one-on-one, we have to battle this sort of wrestling style, like push each other, you automatically, like you heard them like just immediately, you're like, let's go. It just naturally brings that out in you.
It does.
It's like this just like animalistic thing that we all 100%. Have inside of us.
Yeah.
And so like that's immediately where James is going to go. And like, he doesn't care that a little fragile old man is in front of him. He's just going to be like, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So now it's a very long, muddy, defeated walk back to camp for the villains tribe. And they're all like washing themselves off in the ocean, you know, scrubbing their bodies with sand, we see Randy kind of sensing danger. But he's saying like he's looking around and seeing Parvati work her magic on people. You know, she is like doing the flirting game. And he's saying we can't ignore Parvati and her nice wiggle. You know, I know that I'm like a target, but we really should be focused. Like you want to keep the tribe strong, but we need to like remember that Parvati is very dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the overall consensus on this tribe is that Parvati is so dangerous, and they know that. They've seen her play.
Yeah.
They've seen her win.
Yeah.
Like, they know to be worried about her. And she's just 100% doing everything she's always done. She walks right up to you with that big smile. And she's like, am I in trouble?
Yeah.
And like, even Coach, who's like, it's not going to work on me. It kind of looks like it's kind of working on him. And like, he has to have an internal fight with himself.
Right. She's like dunking his head in the water. Like, Coach, you
He's like,
yeah. Right. She is working those charms. Like that is her number one weapon in this game. And like she is using it already this season. Now we see Jerry not happy with Parvati. It's not just Randy who's like, and Coach who we've seen, you know, definitely raising alarm bells about Parvati. But now Jerry's like, I want to punch Parvati in the face. Like I can't stand her. I think there's a little bit of like, I want what she has. Like she has this, she puts people under a spell and I can't do it as well as she can. Like a little bit of, you know, jealousy there. Parvati's now calling Jerry a bitter old cougar and her thing. I'm like, what is this rivalry that's cooking up? Like, whoa, shots fired from these two.
Absolutely. I mean, I think when you know what someone's doing and they're trying it on you and you're seeing it, you're like, oh, I just can't handle you. Like it drives me crazy that you're trying this on me and I'm not going to let it work. But Jerry doesn't really have a ton of power. She even gets caught with sort of like, oh, I don't know that we need to get rid of Randy. And Parvati's like, then who? Then who? And Jerry's like, I don't have to answer you.
Yeah. Right.
Basically, it's what she was saying. I don't know. I don't have a name. Parvati's like, you have to have a name. And she's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
And they're just like going at each other. But I think the most interesting part of all this was the group conversation. Even though the edit is giving us like Coach and Randy, I think it really comes down to Tyson and Rob here. Because Tyson's like, oh, Parvati's the most dangerous person on this tribe. And Rob says, yes, but we have to keep this tribe strong. And I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
your choice right now. One or the other. Do we keep the tribe strong? They only lost one challenge.
Yeah,
they won the last two. So I don't really know that that's what you had to do in this moment. But that's it. Do you get rid of the really dangerous gal or?
Right. So we go to tribal. And again, like we've seen so often, you know, at the beginning of Survivor 40, it's these conversations about previous relationships. Like we saw it in the first two tribal councils for the heroes tribe. And now we're seeing it for the first time with the villains. And Sandra is immediately targeting Parvati and acknowledging like Parvati's played with a lot of people on the heroes tribe. So like, we probably shouldn't let her make it to merge or to a tribe swap, because who knows what kind of alliances she already has like pre-built into this game. And that really is something that Parvati's, you know, it's a very fair point about her. And Parvati's saying like, look, I am loyal to villains, but I understand that those are just words, but that's really all I can give you right now is to pledge my loyalty to this tribe.
Yeah, she has to say that. Sandra also brings up Coach's name, and Coach is not happy about that.
And no, she's like, you know, Coach isn't really doing that much around camp to like be a leader. And he's like, Sandra, I resent that. I found firewood for 3 hours. Like he is not pleased that he's getting called out in tribal council.
You can't talk bad about Coach. He just will not have it. Yeah. They're a tribe full of misfits, they say. Yeah. They are just, which is accurate.
Yeah.
We only see one vote. We see Parvati vote for Randy.
Yep.
And then we go to our votes, and we have one vote for Rob.
Yeah.
So I guess that was Randy.
Yeah, I really thought we were going to see a vote for Randy and a vote for Parvati from Randy, but we did not see that because Randy voted for Rob.
Apparently. And then the rest were all for Randy.
Yeah.
He throws his buff in the fire.
Yeah. Doesn't handle it particularly well.
Because earlier he did say, I don't want to play. If I'm the one that you guys are voting out because I'm an older person who's not as good at these challenges, then that's not the game I even want to play. So screw all of y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, he basically said like, if you're not voting Parvati, vote me, because I don't want to play with you if you're going to keep Parvati around. As if to say like, if you're going to choose to vote Rob, then just vote me, because I don't like, it was like this ultimatum of like, it's Parvati or me, you know? And so they ultimately chose
maybe
Parvati
Rob, because his vote was Rob. So maybe Rob was the backup of like, well, if it's not going to be Parvati, then like, let's try to get out Rob. Yeah. Or maybe he just threw a vote because he knew it was going to be him.
I think he knew his like fate was sealed for sure.
Yeah.
So he's gone. And in the preview for next week, we see Coach crying. I mean, Coach is quite the character.
He's a character.
He was already quoting Martin Luther King in this episode and saying that he's the only honorable person on the villains tribe. Now he's crying to, I don't know, was it Tyson, and saying that people are trying to like make him a bad person. I don't even know. I'm like, this Coach storyline, I'm here for every second of it because he's insane.
Yeah. I mean, that's the upside of him and Russell, that they're just a train wreck. They're
crazy people. Crazy.
They are crazy people.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, another exciting Heroes versus Villains.
But the last thing I wanted to say was I loved Randy's exit speech because they're showing all the votes, you know, and he's saying like, basically he says like, I hope each and every person on this tribe regrets not sending Parvati home when they had the chance. And I'm thinking, I think most of them will, based on the way I know this season goes. So Randy, you have a point there. You're the first one to go from the villains tribe, but you have a point on the way out.
Yes. Your wish will be granted.
Yeah.
I do believe. Oh, yeah. Oh, yep. Well, the villains are a disaster, but the heroes, you know, are kind of also a disaster. So
yeah, right.
The kind of disaster that we love.
Yep. I'm excited for next week to see how this continues.
Yes. You guys, thank you so much for doing this season 20 journey with us.
Yes.
And we will we'll be back next Thursday with the next one.
All right. See you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.